New York is located at the mouth of the Hudson River, which forms a large natural harbor protected leading to the Atlantic Ocean, has helped the growth of the city and its importance as a market town. Most of the New York sites on three islands, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Long Island, making the buildable lands scarce and thus generating a high population density. The terrain of the city has been altered considerably by human intervention, since several land had been reclaimed rivers since Dutch colonial times. This is most notable in the south of Manhattan, where planning was conducted as a battery park city in the 1970s and the 1980s. Some of the variations in topography had been leveled particularly in Manhattan. Since its consolidation in 1898, New York City has been a metropolitan municipality, with a system of government headed by a mayor and a city council. The government is more centralized than those of most of the American cities. It is responsible for public education, correctional institutions, libraries, public safety, and space of leisure, health, water supply, and social service. At the end of the 19th century, New York took hold as the most important economic square in the United States, while its growth led it to be the second most populous city in the world after London. More than 60% of American exports and imports pass through its apparel, banking, and financial sectors, leaving a gold age driven by trade and the prosperity of the upper classes. The influx of immigration in from Europe, exploitation to which were subject as wage without almost right, the corruption of local politicians, and the police violence did emerge the trade union movements and the desire for reforms, but also criminal groups. The Statue of the Liberty was validly declared that he had opened. At the beginning of the 20th century, 16 teenagers intended in New York had at least one foreign-born parent. The change of the century, Manhattan was a true mosaic of cultures. The Russians and Poles dominate the southeast of the island. The Italians were present a little everywhere, and the Irish occupied West Midtown, while the Czechs and the Hungarians settled mostly of the Upper East Side. New York is the only city in the country where more than half of the households do not have a car.
On the other hand, in the 1960s, New York had a lot of change. That means 50 years ago. This period was characterized by the technological advances in electronics, telecommunications, and transportation that was a one change of the American lifestyle. In the geography and demographic. Before World War II, all New York City's boroughs were overwhelming white, and most immigrants to the city before the end of the World War II were from Europe. However, this changed in the decades after World War II, when all of the boroughs became so much ethnically diverse, and when immigration from places outside Europe became dominant. Manhattan was the first borough to begin significant racial diversification, while Staten Island was the last due to the geography of the New York City. Until the 1960s, New York was the country's leading state in nearly all population, cultural, and economic indexes. In the 1960s, New York had 70,081,984 persons. 15.98% was black people, 0.55% Asian people, and 0.30% other kind of multicultural people. Economic. New York then emerged as a national leader in wholesaling, retailing, and manufacturing, and remained so well into the 1960s. By 1973, however, the state was running neck and neck with California, but most output measures had already been surpassed. The total labor force, the number of workers in manufacturing, and the number of factories all declined during the 1960s and the 1970s. New York City's manufacturing base and its skilled laborers have been immigrated to the suburbs and to the other states since World War II. Between 1969 and 1976, the city lost 6,000 jobs. With the departure of much of the middle class, the city's tax base shrank, a factor that contributed to the fiscal crisis of 1975, when a package of short-term aid from Congress, the state government, and the labor union pension fund saved the city from default. Fashion and style. Bell-bottoms and insides, long hair, free love, and psychedelic rock, the 1960s are commonly reduced to a set of easy-to-replace image, phrases, and styles. One branch as immoral anarchistic and revolutionary, the counterculture of the 1960s is now painfully imitated. Its sounds, styles, and slangs are the subject of high school sports days and rally skits. No longer the harbinger of cultural belledonne, the 60s have become a paradigm. Music. Disco music discovered from funk, soul, and jazz of the 1960s, elevating music from the raw sound of four-piece garage bands to the revue music composed by producers who controlled local symphony and philharmonic orchestras and session musicians, a musical idiom that was strongly associated with military audience. Discotheques grew popular in the 1970s and began moving to larger venues. Art. New York's vibrant visual art sense in the 1950s and 1960s also defined the American pop art movement. Members of this next artistic generation favored a different form of abstraction, works of mixed media. Among them were Jasper Johns, 1930, who used photos, newsprint, and discarded objects in his compositions. Pop artists such as Andy Warhol, Larry Rivers, and Rod Lichtenstein reproduced with stylists care everyday objects and images of American popular culture. Coca-Cola, bottles, soap cans, comic strips. As you hear, New York had a lot of change during this time.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm going to talk about New York City actually. First, the geography. New York, the biggest city in USA. It is situated in the northeastern United States in front of Atlantic Ocean at the mouth of Hudson River, approximately halfway between Washington, D.C. and Boston. Most of New York City is built on three islands: Long Island, Manhattan, and Staten Island, and the city's total area is 468.9 square miles. It is constituted, as I said before, by Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Staten Island. Climate. New York City itself experiences a humid subtropical climate. It comes with cold winters and hot temperatures in the interior regions. In spring and autumn could be cold, snowy, or warm. Summer is wet and warm. The population. It is the biggest city in the country with a population of 10.5 million and is one of the most populated cities in the entire country with a total of 800 languages spoken throughout. In the city, 44% of the population is white, 25.5% are blacks, and 12.7% are of Asian descent. Hispanic of any race represent about 28.6%. The economy. It has the biggest regional economy in USA, and also it has the second biggest economy of the world after Tokyo. It is the financial capital of the world anchored by Wall Street and also harbored the highest stock value of the world and the New York SE. The New York metropolitan area counts with an estimated GDP of 15.8 billion. The jobs. The popular jobs here are medical assistant, software engineer, business development manager, human resources, musical producer, marketing or communication manager, and also sailors. The everyday life. The New York goes naturally fast. The most of the things in the city are really expensive, like departments or houses. Here the singles dominate the place instead of couples or families. Also the painters, artists, or musicians govern. The city is full of fashion, clothes, party, glamour, and celebrities. And the transport. The prices are very accessible. The principal transport is cabs, subways, and buses. And that's all. Thank you.